Hi everyone, I'm your host, Johnson from the International Office at Jönköping University. Before we begin, some practical information. This session will be recorded and later we will put a copy of this feed onto our JU web in next few days. Kindly ask your questions at the Q&A function on Zoom. We will answer all of the questions at the end of this webinar. So today's topic is obviously about the guaranteed accommodation by Jönköping University, and we understand that leaving your home for studies and coming to a completely new place may be challenging, especially when you and your family have to think about where you are going to live and how, and all these sort of questions, right? Besides teaching and offering world-class education with amazing career opportunities, we ensure great customer service by easing the administrative process for you. So we offer guaranteed accommodation to all of our international students. You will learn all about it today during this session. It is time to welcome our guest from Accommodation Office, Susanna Gran, who will share all the details with you. Welcome, Susanna.
Hi, thank you.
The floor is all yours.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the housing application process, what to think about, what to read into before you make your choices, and then obviously answer any questions you might have. So as Yasim just said, we do have guaranteed accommodation for all incoming international students at Jönköping University. And this is quite unique for our university, that we guarantee accommodation to all groups of international students, independently if you're a program student or if you're an exchange student. We guarantee accommodation. However, this is not automatically done. You need to do a few things yourself. So in order to be able to take part of this service that we provide with guaranteed housing, you need to apply for your house, and you also need to register your arrival. So this is two parts of the accommodation application process that you need to do. The housing application has just opened now. It actually opened yesterday and will be open until the 25th of May. And if you have been admitted to the university and you have accepted your place, you will automatically get an email from the accommodation office offering you to apply for accommodation. So if you still haven't replied or got an answer, then you cannot apply for accommodation. So it's first when you have been admitted that you can apply for housing. And when you apply for housing, you need to pay an administrative fee of 700 Swedish kronor. It's about 70 euros, more or less. This fee is an administrative fee, which means that if you decide to apply for housing, but then later on, change your mind for some reason, the 700 kronor is non-refundable. You will not get it back should you choose not to use the guaranteed accommodation. When you apply for housing, you will be able to put in 3 choices of different housing. So your first choice, your second choice, and your third choice. You will also be able to fill in if you are interested in sharing an accommodation, maybe with a friend, or if you may be traveling with your girlfriend or boyfriend or what have you. You will also be able to fill in the option of, yes, I can consider sharing a room, and if so, with someone specific. But I want to be very clear here that sharing a room means actually sharing a bedroom. So it's important that you consider that if you fill in the shared option, that means that you can consider sharing the bedroom with that specific person. Before you make your choice of housing as well, it's also important that you visit our web pages, which can easily be found on ju.se, because there you will find a lot of useful information. You will also find information about each housing option in regards to, is it a single apartment or is it a shared accommodation, as in I have my own room, but I share the common facilities, the cost of the accommodation, and also what is included. So that's really important that you read through carefully before you make your choices, so that you know what you are applying for. We do have several options when it comes to housing. We have, as I just said, single apartments with your own kitchen and your own bathroom. You have the halls of residence, as we call them, where you would have your own room, but you share the kitchen and bathrooms with other students. We also have smaller shared options where you do share the common facilities, but you live together, maybe 3 or 4 students in one apartment, but you then would share the kitchen and bathrooms. So there are several options of where you can live. So that's important that you do the research before you apply. Because once you have applied, then your options is what we will look at when we make the placements, so that it doesn't come to you as a shock, maybe that, oh, wow, the rent was really high here, or I want my own bathroom, or what have you, because that's very hard to change afterwards. And I also want to say that we only provide housing for the actual student. So if you're planning to come with your family, and for example, if you're planning to bring your boyfriend or girlfriend or wife or husband, and that person will not study at Jönköping University, we will not be able to help them. Also, if you plan to travel with children, we do not provide housing for families, only for the student. And the main reason for that is that the housing options that we provide are student accommodations, which means that it's not suitable and not big enough for families to stay in. So that's really important to know. If you plan to bring your family, please do research before, because there are also things with, you know, childcare and schooling and all sorts of things that you need to research and arrange beforehand. But please know that we will not be able to help any family accommodation, only the admitted students. Now, when you have made your accommodation application, which, as I just said, will be open until the 25th of May, we also ask you to register your arrival. And this part of the application will be open in the month of July. So after you have done your application for the housing, which you will hopefully be doing within the next sort of months, then you don't have to do anything else until the arrival registration. So you don't have to worry if you don't hear from us, or if you have, obviously you can always email us if you have questions, but there's nothing you actively need to do until you will receive the next email from us, which will be in July. And the arrival registration will be open the 1st to the 20th of July. And what we ask you to do then is to fill in your planned arrival. And we know that there are a lot of students who have questions about this, because it's hard to plan your travels and to maybe know the exact date of your arrival, which is fine. But to confirm your application and be sure to be guaranteed accommodation, you have to fill in a date. That date can be approximate and changed afterwards. So if you're still unsure of when you will be traveling, or you're waiting for your visa, what have you, you can still fill in the date and then change it later. But if you don't fill in the date, your application will automatically be cancelled, and you will not have guaranteed accommodation upon arrival. So you can say that the arrival registration is the confirmation of your accommodation application, and also for us to know when you arrive. And we provide a pickup service in the beginning of each semester, which is Thursday to Sunday, the week before your courses starts and the introduction week. We recommend all students to arrive within these dates, and that's because then we can help you in the best possible way. But if you arrive on another date, that's also fine. But when you have filled in both the housing application and the arrival registration, then you have guaranteed accommodation, which also means that you can no longer cancel it without paying any fees. So that's also important to know, that when you have completed both of these steps, that means that you have agreed to the terms and conditions that the university have for guaranteed accommodation. And that also means that you are required to pay a cancellation fee should you not arrive or should you make the cancellation very late. All accommodations are furnished. That's included in the rent. What's more included in the rent is heating and internet and electricity and all of that. So everything is packaged in the rent. Most accommodations will charge the rent one semester at a time. So you should be prepared to be able to make the payment of your accommodation for a whole semester at once. But all payments and all the details regarding that will be presented to you when you arrive. So no payments are made before you actually arrive here in Jönköping. I think that's what I can think of right now. I don't know, Yasim, do you have anything you feel I've missed, or should we do some questions maybe?
Yeah, I think we can go for the questions. I think the most important thing which you said was also that they can go to the website and they can see the options, what kind of accommodation we have. So because I know that quite often people ask these questions, quite many actually are interested to see that what kind of accommodation they could be expecting to get. So yeah, so we can start the Q&A session, I think, and we can take it from there. So let's see. The first one is: are the shared apartments boys girls mixed, or is it just boys and girls separate?
That depends on the accommodation. Most accommodations are mixed accommodations, as you will live together. But in some accommodations, for example, in Råslätt, they divide the apartments on boys and girls. But in general, you live mixed together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other one is, do we have to pay utilities like electricity and heating as well?
Yeah, as I just mentioned, it's included in the rent.
Is the pickup service free? Yeah.
Yes.
How long are the tenancy agreements, and are there for the entire period of the program or only for per semester?
You are guaranteed accommodation as long as you're an active student at the university. So if you're doing a 3-year program, then you're guaranteed accommodation for that period of time. But I can also mention with this question that it is the housing option that you are provided with upon arrival that we can guarantee you. So it's not included in the guarantee to change accommodation after one semester, for example, but you are always free to cancel your lease agreement if you want to move and find housing by yourself. But the guarantee that we provide from the university side is the option we provide you with when you arrive.
And it's usually 3 months, right?
3 months cancellation time, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Samira is asking, when will I be informed which accommodation we will get?
You will be informed upon arrival. We are not able to provide this information beforehand, unfortunately, for many reasons, mostly administrative. But what I can say is, not in all cases, but in most cases, we are able to provide you with the first or second option that you give. So that's why it's also important that you have a look at the housing options and consider all 3 options you mention, even if the third one is the last one, to really think about the different housing options, because we get that sometimes that, yeah, but the third option I just wrote because and sometimes you do get your third option. So please fill in all of the options that way you will actually could consider staying. So that's why it's important to do that.
And they will be able to see the approximate pricing for those accommodations as well, right?
Absolutely.
Great. And so just hold on. Yeah. Can we arrive earlier, such as before the 20th of August, and get into the house at that time?
In most accommodations, yes. I would say the majority of the contract starts on the 1st of August. But there are some accommodations where it's the 15th, the starting point, but the majority of the contracts will start from the 1st of August. And since you will pay rent from the 1st of August, then you have access to your accommodation from that date.
Okay. And so you don't have to, Tobias is asking again, so you don't have to move every semester?
No.
Let's see. Do we get to choose where our room apartment will be located in the complex? I think it's the same question which we just answered, right?
No.
So if an international student is already in Jönköping, can they prefer to choose an accommodation option?
I'm not sure what. I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure how to answer.
Yeah,
it depends on if you're already a student at the university and you haven't. It's only for new arriving students.
Yeah, because I think I might know this student, because I think he has finished his bachelor's, if I'm not mistaken, and then now he's applied for his master's education with us as well. So I think it's that context he's asking about it.
Yeah, okay. To answer a bit blurry, it depends. It depends on if you have applied before and said no, if you have a Swedish civic number, if you are able to apply for housing by yourself. And so it's I won't be able to give a straight answer to that. I will need to have a look into that individual case. So
okay,
maybe send an email and we can have a look at it.
Okay. Do we have to pay for the laundry services?
No.
Yes. Let's see. All accommodations are provided with internet connection. Is it Wi-Fi, or do we need to get a router for ourselves?
It depends on the accommodation. Some have Wi-Fi and some have the connection, but you need to get the cable or the router yourself. So that depends on the accommodation, but all of those details will be explained once you get here, and we know.
How can we learn which accommodation is mixed or not?
I don't think you can, but just sort of count on the majority of them being mixed.
If I'm not comfortable in my accommodation, can I change the accommodation during the following semester?
No, not through the university.
Okay.
Mm.
If you don't take the shared bedroom option, can it still be that you have to share your room?
I would say no, unless there would be extreme circumstances where there would be a huge shortage of housing and many students, but that's very unlikely that would happen. So I would say no.
I think it's the same question we are being asked again. How long are the housing contracts? Are they for one semester and afterwards can it be needed to be prolonged? So we have already answered. I think it's you get a guaranteed accommodation for the whole period of your education, but if you want to change, then the guarantee disappears.
Yeah.
Then the contracts are usually you can give a notice of 3 months before you want to leave your accommodation.
Yeah.
Regarding the Grashagen location, is it possible for only 2 people to live there? Or as we are 2 people, boyfriend and girlfriend, we would like not to share the apartment with other students, and that particular location seems to suit us the best.
Yeah, the Grashagen is apartments that are shared 2 people.
Okay, so they can, both boyfriend and girlfriend can live there.
Yeah, if they are both students.
Yes. Are the rooms in Match House for 2 people?
No.
Okay. I read that we have to write an expression of interest for the accommodation, but I did not see anything where to send that in. Does that mean we don't have to send one in?
If you mean in writing, then I don't know where that came from, because that's not the case. But you do need to put in the options in the application, but not write anything. You just complete the application, but in the application you have to fill in the 3 different options. Otherwise, it won't be considered as an application.
Have I got it right? Is eating included in the accommodation fee?
Yes. Eating. Oh,
Yeah,
no, sorry.
no.
I thought you said heating. Sorry,
No.
eating. No, we don't have any accommodations with meal plans. You have to cook yourself.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing the pathway program, I should say.
Okay.
But that's then food, a meal plan is included, but not if you are doing a program at the Jönköping University.
So only for pathway students that option is included. Can we stay in these rooms in summer?
You can stay over the summer if you're continuing your contract for the next semester. So if you're doing a 2-year master program, for example, then the accommodation is yours over the summer. But if you are only doing an exchange semester, maybe, or if you're doing like a 1-year master, then the contract will end when you stop your studies, which would be by the end of June. And then you won't be able to stay over the summer if you're leaving.
Is the Match House paid monthly or in a single semester?
Semester.
Okay. Is it also possible to mention in the application preferences, like, for example, to be in a shared apartment with other students?
You won't be able to write anything in the applications. That's why it's important, again, that you have a look at the different options to see what would include, what would suit you. So you will see in the housing options which would be shared and not.
I'm just thinking maybe perhaps we can share a direct link with everyone on the chat function of that, where they can see all the accommodations. Might be easier, I think. So then we have, do we have?
Yeah, it's just ju.se/accommodation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have to pay another guarantee if we want to change accommodation between 2 semesters?
No, because you can't change accommodation through the university. So if you want to change accommodation after 1 semester, you need to find the housing by yourselves.
Mm-hmm. Can we continue to stay in dormitories during the summer break? What is the pricing like? So it's the same question, I think. Julia's asking, is it first come, first served?
No, it's not.
Guaranteed. As long as you make the application within the time period.
Exactly.
When we give 300 SEK for the do-it and the bed sheets, do we get provided with them or do we have to buy them on our own?
No. you pay 300 kroner for a duvet and a pillow, not sheets. Sheets and towels are not included, but the duvet and the pillow, you pay a one-time fee of 300 kroner, and that will be in your room when you arrive. Okay. But bed sheets and towels you need to get yourselves.
If I request a specific person who is also a student there to share the apartment with, are there any chances to not get into that apartment with that particular person? I'm not
sure. Yes, there is. Because it depends on if you. This is why again I'm stressing, like think about the options that you apply for. For example, if you are looking to live with a specific person, then if you write down that person and then apply for the shared apartment options, then you will have a very good chance of staying with that person. But then we do have also shared options, like for example in Råslet, where if you apply for Råslet as your first option, for example, and then you write down a specific person you want to live with, the chances of living in the same apartment with that person in that specific housing option is very slim, because it's in Råslet it's the landlord who makes the placements, and they mix up people when they make the placements. But if you would, for example, as someone wrote earlier, if you would fill in a specific person and then maybe apply for Gräshagen as your first option, and that's an apartment for 2 people, then there's a very big chance that you will get to stay in an apartment with that specific person.
Great. Price of Råslet is written as 4,100 to 3,200 to 4,100. Is it really for the whole semester or monthly?
Monthly.
Why do apartments in Ekkogen not have window bars?
We don't have window bars in Sweden at all, so that's why.
Yeah, it's absolutely safe to live here.
Yeah.
How much is the deposit for Ekkogen dorms at first?
Ekkogen is one. It's one of the few options where they will require you to pay a deposit, but it will not be paid before you arrive. But the deposit in Ekkogen is 10,000 Swedish kroner, and that will be refunded to you once you move out.
Mm-hmm. What was the name again of the housing accommodation best fitting for couples?
There are several options fitted for couples, but Gräshagen, for example, is one of them.
Okay. What are the selection criteria for the apartments? It's a very broad question, I think. But...
yeah, I mean, I'm not meaning when
I think
are made, or I'm not sure what.
I think Sherban is trying to ask if they really get their first options, they select, because, I think he or she is trying to understand that, if there is a special criteria for selection that you'll be given this or that, the selection criteria is that we will try to give you the first choice you have chosen in your application.
Yeah, we will. And then there are many different reasons that we have to look into for everyone to get the best, experience in their house. And one of them can be that maybe we have 100 rooms available in one accommodation, but I have 300 students applying for the same option. Then obviously everyone will not be able to get that. We have to look into diversity. We have to look into a good mix of students, a good balance between boys and girls, and I'm sure that, I'm just making this up now, but we say that you are an exchange student coming from a partner university in France, then I don't think that you would want to move into an accommodation where there are 20 other students from the same university staying with you. That's things we have to consider as well. So it's a mix of things, but firstly, of course, we look at your housing options and try to place you after that.
Paul is asking, is there any accommodation apart from Ekkogen and Fabriken that offers single apartments?
Ekkogen do, and Kunskapsfabriken do. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So let's see. What I want to ask is, what really matters when applying for housing? Do grades matter to our final exam? No, none of those things are considered. So don't worry about that part. If a tick on the application to share a room means sharing a bed, what should I tick if I want to live with someone I don't know yet? Is it possible to share an apartment with someone picked randomly?
It doesn't mean share a bed, it means share a bedroom. But it's a fair point, because that's why I stressed that beforehand. If you fill in that you can consider sharing, it means sharing a bedroom. Then you can apply for a shared option without filling in the shared bedroom part. And then, for example, we have many examples. Roslet is a shared option where you would have your own room, but you share the kitchen and bathrooms with other students, or Delta or Beta House, or you have several options where it's a shared accommodation, but you stay in your own room. So filling in the sharing with a specific person means if you want to stay with a specific person in a shared apartment, or you can consider sharing a bedroom with someone specific or not.
Does the housing contract last until the end of our studies? Yes. You basically sign new contracts, right? But you are guaranteed accommodation until you finish your studies.
Yeah.
Can these three priorities be changed before the ending of the application process? If so, until when?
Until the 25th of May, you can change your application.
Is the university in the very city center just to make sure the housing options are centrally located? Yes.
Yes. Campus is in the city center. But I would also say that there are housing options that are centrally located as well. They will be, however, more expensive than if you live a little bit further away. And I want to stress that Jönköping is quite a small city in that sense that it's easy to travel. So not being able to walk to university is not a big thing, because you will be able to get to the university depending on the location of your accommodation, within 10 to 15 minutes tops. And then the bus will be on the main line. So they leave sort of every 10 minutes. So it's very easy to travel with communal buses here. So not all the accommodations are centrally located in comparison to the campus.
Sherben is asking, regarding the rent for the apartments, are there any possibilities to get a job, part-time or full-time, within the university in order to be able to earn money for the rent?
No.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
you're also here to study, I would say,
yeah.
But no.
After arriving, till when we have to pay for the accommodation?
You will pay for your accommodation after arrival, and it's a little bit different how you pay your rent and so I won't be able to go in. I'm not going into detail about that now. Everything will be explained to you in detail when you arrive. But there is no money to be paid upon arrival. You need to pay. The rent is always paid to the bank, so it's like a bank transfer. So don't travel here with cash, and because you don't pay your rent at the university.
What happens with my apartment when I study abroad for 1 semester?
You need to cancel the apartment and move out.
And when they come back, what happens?
When they come back, we will help out if we can, which usually we can. But again, as I mentioned, the guaranteed accommodation is firstly for new arriving students. And if you go on exchange and come back, you're considered to be a returning student. And then we will help out if we can. And usually we can, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
If we want to choose other guaranteed accommodation for the second year, which accommodation will I be staying in the summer break?
But you cannot.
Yeah. Because you cannot get a guarantee for the second year if you change your accommodation.
No.
If you're in Sweden in the near future, are there any chances that we get to see the actual apartments in order to make an idea of the size and all of the other, if they're visiting Sweden?
You won't be. I can't say, because it really depends on when you get here and if we have staff available. And now we have other tenants staying in the accommodation, so it's not possible to get into the actual apartments. But as I said, it completely depending on when there might be a possibility to have a look at the houses, but not go inside.
Yeah, I think let's see if we have any. Do master students and undergraduate students stay in the apartments together?
Yes.
Great. And this was the last question so far. I think we have covered quite a bit. So you guys know that I have shared the link for the accommodation there on the chat function so that you guys can easily directly go there, so you know. And thank you very much for attending today. And thank you, Susanna, for answering all these questions and your presentation.
Thank you.
And I really look forward meeting you all when you arrive here. And I hope and wish you all the best. Bye-bye.
For sure.